Hello, this is Darrell Castle with today's podcast. Today is Monday, September 16th, 2013. And today we are talking about the end of Ben Bernanke's term as head of the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. Mr. Bernanke's term ends at the end of January 2014, so just a few months from now. And the names that President Obama has on his short list to replace Mr. Bernanke, headed by Lawrence Summers, the number one candidate, has been number one all along, and I thought was a shoo-in to get the job. Lawrence Summers, most people thought he would be the one. Despite everything else, it would be like replacing a manager of a sports team. There are many candidates, but there is one leading candidate. Well, he suddenly sent a letter yesterday, Sunday, to President Obama saying he was withdrawing his name from the nomination process. Why would he do such a thing? Well, being a former president of Harvard University and currently president emeritus of Harvard, he sent the letter on Harvard University letterhead. It's a short letter, so I will read it to you. Dear Mr. President, I am writing to withdraw my name for consideration to be chairman of the Federal Reserve. It has been a privilege to work with you since the beginning of your administration as you led the nation through a severe recession and a sustained economic recovery built on policies to promote employment and strengthen the middle class. This is a complex moment in our national life. I have reluctantly concluded that any possible confirmation process for me would be acrimonious and would not serve the interests of the Federal Reserve, the administration, or ultimately the interests of the nation's ongoing economic recovery. I look forward to continuing to support your efforts to strengthen our national economy by creating a broad-based prosperity and to reform our financial system so that no president ever again faces what you and your economic team faced upon taking office in 2009. Sincerely yours, Lawrence Summers. That was Mr. Summers' letter taking his name out of possible consideration. Acrimonious, he said. His nomination would be acrimonious. He has been a controversial figure, former U.S. Treasury Secretary under President Clinton. He and President Clinton took apart the regulatory process that many people feel ultimately led to the collapse of 2007 and 2008. He was also chairman of President Obama's Council of Economic Advisors, but has since left that position and left public service altogether to work in the private sector. He's been closely associated with Citigroup primarily, where he just announced that he was withdrawing financial advising of these various financial groups, especially Citigroup. He was going to withdraw from that. Why would he withdraw and then suddenly send this letter? There are several possible reasons why he took his name out of the nomination process. Number one, his letter was actually true, and he felt like it would be acrimonious. That is possible, but unlikely. I say unlikely because truth to folks on this level is simply random chance, not very likely at all. He doesn't want to deal with problems the Fed will face in the next 100 years, a very real possibility. Who would want to deal with it? Number three, there is too much money in the private sector, especially in his relationship to Citibank. Any of these, I suppose, would be possible. Well, who's left for Obama to consider? Number one, Janet Yellen, Y-E-L-L-E-N, former University of California, Berkeley economist, former president of the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco, and currently vice chairman of the Federal Reserve Board of Governors. She is the number two person behind Lawrence Summers, which is a possible disadvantage. Who wants to nominate the number two person? Who wants to say, I had to take second best? Still, some of her advantages: she would be the first woman to head the Fed in its 100-year history. She is well thought of by Democrat politicians, having been recommended to President Obama by several of them. She is well thought of by Keynesian economists and her friends in the Federal Reserve. If she got the nomination, she would have to start the process of unwinding the Bernanke stimulus program, which will be very difficult for anyone, a problem Summers obviously did not want to face. Bernanke will probably be happy if he escapes after January with all the plates still in the air. Who are some other possible candidates? Well, one other possible candidate, Don Cohen, spelled with a K, K-O-H-N, a 40-year veteran of the Federal Reserve, recently retired. He was Ben Bernanke's number 2 man during the financial crisis, and he was also the right-hand man of Alan Greenspan. Slightly more conservative than Greenspan or Bernanke, he still supported their policies. So, what are some problems with all of this? What are some problems that the new Fed chairman will face? Well, as I said, unwinding quantitative easing, problem number 1, which will result in rising interest rates, possible unemployment, inflation, sluggish or no recovery. Those are all problems. How do I see it? Well, I've given many a speech on the subject of end the Fed, folks, and there is nothing that's changed to change my view of that. End the Fed, that's what I say. Monday, September 16th, 2013. Until next time, folks, this is Darrell Castle. Thanks for listening.